Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you. Thank you so much, CJ Lancha, for being part of this event and every other event, being a great supporter of the Walas Memorias project. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Tuesday evening. My name is Gustavo Velez. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I'm a mental health community organizer at the Walas Memorias project. I will also be your guide through tonight's journey composed of art, music, and community speakers. Welcome to the Story Collective, a project that combines the arts and the mental health. As we know, for mental health within the queer community, lesbian, gays, and bisexual individuals are prone to experience a mental health condition like depression and anxiety at twice the rate of their heterosexual counterparts. Trans individuals are 4 times more likely to experience a mental health condition compared to its cisgender individuals. But I want to tell you a little bit about our organization. The Walas Memorias is a grassroots organization dedicated to serving Latinos, LGBTQ, and other underserved populations. And we do this through education, advocacy, and overall just building the next generation of leaders. Now, the Story Collective program is funded by the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health and was an idea that originated from the USCC subcommittee and was a product of the LGBTQI2S subcommittee. The Underserved Cultural Committee are subgroups created by DMH composed of organizations and community members where specific communities can bring awareness to issues, resolve them collectively, and create new programs like this one to serve the community and educate the general public about that community. In this event, the community we're focusing on is the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, asexual, and two-spirit. So it's the queer community. Queer meaning other sexual and gender variances that are not heterosexual or cisgender. If you would like to join this coalition of queer voices, feel free to email me at gustavo.velez@TWLMP, or you can email Kelly Wilkerson at KEWilkerson@dmh.lacounty.gov. We'll make sure that all this information is in the chat. Okay. Thank you. Okay. I would like to give a special thank you to all the participants of this program and a thank you to all of the artists who volunteer their time and talent to make this program possible. This wouldn't have been able to come to fruition without all of you that work with Mortala Prada, Kelly Wilkerson, and Makisha Jones, Chambers for the community. Okay, so without further ado, let's get this program started. To kick off this event, we will venture into the creative writings. We were very fortunate to have Frankie Elliott lead this workshop. Often referred as the poet for people who hate poetry, Frankie Elliott is a street artist and critically acclaimed author of 3 books, Stories of People Who Hate Love, Kiss as Many Women as You Can, and Piano Rats. Her work has been nationally recognized by Paper Magazine, the Paris Review, Amy Poehler's Smart Girls, the Chicago Tribune, LA Weekly, Time, Out. She currently lives in Los Angeles, so local Angelino. Without further ado, please, Frankie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So I was actually there at your workshop, and let me just say that your poetry was just very touching, and we were able to connect to it very easily. But I do have some questions to ask you. Okay.
Sure.
Well, let's just actually start off by, can you share your experience with this event? How was it teaching this workshop? And also, was it your first workshop that you've taught? I don't believe that.
No, this wasn't my first workshop. I've taught a couple of high school and elementary school classes. So, but basically what I do and what we did at this workshop was I brought typewriters to the class because I think that typewriters are really cool with the fact that most people haven't actually used one. And typewriters don't allow you to censor yourself. You can't delete anything. You can't backspace. You just kind of have to go with the mistakes and write whatever you're thinking without editing it. So what we did was we all wrote down a word on a sheet of paper and we put it in a jar, and then everyone grabbed a word and then wrote whatever was inspired from that. and then we type them out on the typewriters.
Awesome, thank you. Can you just tell us about the importance of mental health through poetry or other artful expressions?
Yeah, I think that that writing really helps you say the things that you can't say out loud necessarily. So it gives you, and it also gives you a way to sort out your thoughts and really understand them. And in terms of writing for me, I was always worried that I was too weird, or I wrote really weird, or people would judge me and my thoughts once I started putting my work out there. But I actually learned that the things that I wrote about that made me most vulnerable were the things that people related the most to. So writing makes you feel less alone and realize you're not the only person having those thoughts, and also helps the reader feel less alone.
Yeah, you know, I think that's why I was thinking that why your poetry or your creative writing was so easy to connect to was because, like you said, it was so weird. Like, we're so afraid to be weird, but the weirdness is what connects everybody. So I think I have two more questions. So why do you believe it's important to host these types of spaces, creative writing or creative spaces and mental health spaces for the LGBTQ community?
I think it's really important to learn what your voice is and how to say what you want to say, and to keep feeling confident and growing your voice. So I think that doing these workshops, maybe you've never read poetry before, you've never thought about writing a poem, or you don't read a lot or something like that, but it might open your mind to doing those things. And for me, I believe that reading, it opens up new worlds and new perspectives to you. So it's really like it's a learning experience, I guess. So I think it's important to keep expanding your world and seeing other people's worlds. And also we all have a very specific story that's our own to tell. So learning how to tell that, because other people need to hear it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Frankie. So we were very fortunate to have you here with us back in February and even now. I think I just have one last question. So where can we see more of your work? Where can we follow you? I'm
on Instagram, Frankie Elliott, FrankiELLIOT. Also, I wrote a story that was published on Vice 2 years ago during Pride Month, and it was about growing up with a gay mother and dealing with homophobia in Indiana in the 1990s, and addiction and mental health. So that's a really good story that a lot of people might relate to. So you can look on Vice and just kind of Google my name, and also my books are on Amazon.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Frankie. I actually will personally look for that video on Vice, and I will see if I can share, do like a quick email blast and share with everybody that's joining us here today. Once again, thank you so much, Frankie, for doing the workshop and being here with us tonight. And next up, we will actually see the products of what will happen, your students, you interacting with them. So let's go ahead and watch that video. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed those poems. Frankie was an amazing instructor, and from what I saw, the poems were also amazing, very touching, and very relatable as well. Okay, so up next, we do have a testimony from one of our participants. We have Vic. Vic, are you here with us? Awesome. So let me just give you a little intro. So Vic is a reverend transplant to LA from the Bay Area. She is a filmmaker and proud member of the LGBTQIA2S community. As someone who has personal experience with mental health challenges, she strongly believes in the power of community and is an advocate for reducing mental health stigma. Welcome, Vic. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Gustavo.
Awesome. So can you just tell us about your experience at the Story Collective, whether it was the mental health workshop or one of the 2 art workshops that you attended?
Yeah, so I chose the poetry workshop and also the sculpting workshop, but I would love to talk about my experience with Frankie. So I think like being able to type out our thoughts and emotions and feelings on a typewriter was really special. I hadn't used a typewriter in over 20 years. I think the first time I picked up I touched a typewriter was like in elementary school or something, and it's like something that I guess I never realized I would love so much. In this digital age, it's not often that I get to write on paper with ink. And there's something like really special in like the tactility of typing out your words. And in the moment you commit to your words, you commit your words on the typewriter. You cannot hit backspace or delete. What comes out is what comes out. And it was really fun to actually play with the formatting, like just learning how to do the spacing. And then when I did mess up, I had to put some X's on there. And that's like something that is like, it's just not something that I'm used to doing in this age when everything you can always rewrite, re-edit, but there's something really very much in the moment about using this sort of analog device. And it was fun to play with the formatting and feel the heaviness of the keys in printing my words, and like actually making like indentations and something that's like real and lasting. And it just feels like you're actually creating something versus like when you're typing digitally, there's just more of a weight to it. So I thought that was like super, super cool.
Awesome. You know, it's so funny that you mentioned typewriting and how you felt using it. And I think Frankie also used it, referred to it as being very raw, right? And I recently gifted a Polaroid camera to one of my best friends. And for some reason, the first thing I thought when I was about to take a picture was, I can't edit this, so it has to be really good. But that's also the beauty of it, right? The rawness behind it. So thank you.
Exactly.
I have another question for you. So after the session, how did you continue to use art to express your mental health?
I mean, I think like I continue to journal as a creative outlet for my emotional health. And I do like in terms of writing, and I do like a daily gratitude list that I actually write out by hand. So I just think it's so important to have an outlet and release for your thoughts and emotion that just sort of brew within, at least for me. And I also use like photography to capture like the beauty that I encounter in my day to day, such as like seeing the skyline during sunset or whatever it is that just sort of moves me, makes me feel something, and just like capturing these images and reminders of sort of the goodness and beauty in this world just help me feel more connected to life. And so that's kind of like, what I've been doing.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I think one last question, like, do you think that art as a coping mechanism is also useful even to those individuals that are not art savvy?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, I think that like art is what you make of it, and you don't have to be particularly skilled or experienced or talented at it for it to be an effective coping mechanism. I mean, to me, like creating art is a form of expression, and anyone can do that. And everyone has things, everyone has a voice. And I like what Frankie said about like just kind of finding and honing that voice. And so I think everyone needs to express themselves in whatever form that may be, whether it be like just dancing by yourself in your room, or singing loudly with the music blasting in the car, or just like cooking a thoughtfully prepared meal. I think that it's just one of the most important outlets for mental health.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, Vic, for joining us, for being an amazing participant. Both of your art pieces were amazing. Yeah. Your story, your story, and everything that you said today definitely resonates with everybody in Los Angeles, and definitely touched us all. We definitely see ourselves in it. So next up, we do have a DJ set. So get on your dancing shoes and start stretching, because we do have a DJ set by DJ Lancia. But we're also going to show the QR code. If you can all please scan it and fill out the survey, so you can all be put into the raffle now of 5 Target gift cards. So take it away, DJ Lancia. So welcome everybody back to the Story Collective. Next up, we're gonna dive into painting. And with us, we're gonna have an amazing artist. She goes by the name of Phoenix. Phoenix led our painting workshop. She told us about her mental health experience and how it led to a career or discovering a talent in painting. Phoenix, are you here with us? Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yay, yeah, thank you so much for joining us. So you told us about what got you into painting, right? And it kind of saved your life. Can you actually go into that and tell us about it?
I've actually been doing art my whole life, more so when I was a kid, and recently there was kind of a period where I didn't, I guess, have time for what was most important to me. I guess you know how that goes. So during that time, I kind of started straying, you know, further and further away from myself. You stop taking care of yourself a little bit, and then you realize, like, dang, it's been weeks, months, years now that I haven't really given myself what I need, you know? So I got into a really bad car accident, actually. I got hit by a truck when I was on a bike, and I flew through the windshield. And during that moment, I was like, this is it. I'm going to die. You know what I mean? I kind of just accepted that. But upon recovering and having to be by myself, with myself, I fell back into art. And it was such a heartbreaking, but heart-opening and heartwarming experience to, I guess, reclaim my power in that way. You know what I mean? And give myself what I need. And from that, I've had a lot of opportunities to, get paid actually to do art. I've had a lot of opportunities to help other people through art. So it's been a magnificent and rewarding experience, not just for me, but for everybody connected. So it's really a miracle, and I'm so grateful for art.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think, you know, like, some of us are the most vulnerable when we can share our stories. And a lot of us can connect to it, right? And it becomes very real, the story. Can you also tell us about how was the workshop? How was it teaching? Was it your first time teaching a workshop? And how were the students?
So when I was there with the workshop, it was really, really nerve-wracking, because I've taught a lot of classes, but I've always hosted the event. You know what I mean? I've always been in charge of, like, the space, the time, you know, how many people. So when I got there to the workshop, it was such a moment of, hey, Mom, look, I'm doing it. You know what I mean? I'm doing it for real. And it was just amazing. The students were very receptive. They were very open, and they poured themselves onto the canvas, that's where the healing comes from, you know? So it was beautiful. And it was my first time teaching at somebody else's facility. So it was blessed. It was blessed.
Yeah, and yeah, even me as someone that was helping put up this event, I think that I was able to take in what you were giving, right? So I was able to, you know, start painting and take in your ideas and your pointers. So yeah, thank you so much. It was a beautiful experience. Just one last question that I'm asking every artist. Why would you say it's important to host these spaces for the LGBTQ community?
Because so many people don't have time. Going back to what I said about us not having time for ourselves. If you don't have time for yourself, then how are you gonna have time for somebody else? You know what I mean? So in these events, in these type of spaces, we get reminded not only A, to take care of ourselves, but B, that we're not alone. You know what I mean? We're not alone, and that we have support, and then we can always reach out. We can always, make an effort to change, and that the effort will be rewarded. And, just knowing that there's so many people in the community who are suffering with depression, with mental illness, with not knowing how to express themselves authentically. Understand me? You have to make space like this. It's our responsibility to make space like this. You know what I mean? And I think that's going to be a huge and crucial part of the healing process, and that it's a duty that we should all take up.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for those words. Yeah, so once again, thank you so much for being part of this event, for being part of the event back in the workshop and coming back with us again. I see that you are constantly creating art. I actually follow you on social media. Would you actually shout out some of your social media? Where can we follow you? Where can we see some of your work?
So all of my social media platforms are the same, FENYXTHEGOD. That's for Instagram, for Twitter, and for Bigo Live. You could, hit up my music. Just type in Phoenix the God on Google or in Spotify, iTunes, and yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me.
So thank you so much for being part of this. We always welcome your presence and creative mind in spaces like this. We hope to continue working with you in the future. Now we are going to go back into the workroom. So you will get to see Phoenix and her students work together. Awesome. Those were amazing pieces, right? Like some of the students that we worked with told us that they had never done anything creative or anything with paintings before. And I just couldn't believe it. They were all just amazing, right? So next up, we do have another.
I'm crying, dude. That's crazy.
Thank you, Phoenix. So we're gonna next hear from a student that was from a student testimonial. We have Orlando Michaca, who has been an avid contributor to several of our programs within this agency. His leadership and has continuously supported the Wallace Emotes project, and we appreciate him so much. Orlando, are you here with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm just gonna ask you a little bit of questions. So how was your experience at the Story Collective?
Honestly, it was a great experience. I never thought that I would be this creative. It really put me to think that art is really not it's really not like, like something that you have to be really talented at, because I thought that art was like oh, you have to practice for years and years and years so you get so you get a vision perfected, and you have to be famous enough to do something. And I always thought about it like that. But then I started, I was like, no, that's not it. And I am so thankful to be part of this program, because not just um not just I created art, but now I took a bit I for the next question, right? You could ask the next question.
Yeah, so after the session, how did you continue to use art to express your mental health?
So going next to my question that I was gonna say, I now do drag. So the art of drag, I don't even have words because it changed me a lot as a person. Um, it isn't drag like I thought that I was always gonna be depressed and always gonna be like have my time to cry every day. But now, like, now that I'm so busy, now that I have an org and I have competitions, I have performances I have to be at, and it really perfect my makeup and all that. It made me think, and it's just all this art. It's so beautiful, and I, as a person, I'm so thankful that it changed the way I am. It changed everything, and now I'm not as quiet as I used to be, and now I'm happy to just you know just to be a different person now, basically.
So, how long have you been doing drag for, Orlando?
It's gonna be officially 2 months officially.
Wow, congratulations. Yeah, and I know that you also have been performing at a lot of virtual events, due to the pandemic. We have a lot of the events have gone virtual. And we have actually also been blessed to have your drag persona at our ongoing workshops called Drag Bootcamp, right?
Yes, drag boot camp. I gotta say something. I've never like I drag boot camp, like I was I wanted to be in person to see it, but even though it's virtual, it's still amazing. And even you guys could join, because it's an amazing workshop. Not just you get to see performances, but you also get to learn about substance, all that, amazing things. um and yeah, as Blasia said, it's on October 17th. Yes, Blasia, she's such a great person to me.
Yeah. So one last question, Orlando. Do you think art is a coping mechanism? As a coping mechanism, is also useful to individuals that are not art savvy?
Uh, mm, I think that art is for everyone, whether or not you're taking classes, do it as a profession, or just as a naturally talented artist. Art is a way to cope, express, and nurture your mental health. And I feel like it's a great way for a community to come together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you so much, Orlando, for being with us tonight, for being with us back in February when we had the Story Collective workshops, and for your continuous dedication to all our programs. So I think I saw in the comment, Blasia, one of the instructors for Drag Bootcamp. The next Drag Bootcamp is October 17th. It is an event that's put up, I believe, twice a month, where you will learn things about substance abuse, mental health, and a couple other topics, but it is also taught by a lot of our staff who also do drag on the side. And we do bring in local drag queens to perform as well. It is a very fun event. If you could join them, then please go ahead and join them. Yeah. And I believe, okay, so Blasia just said you can register at the link on the comments. Thank you, Blasia. Okay, so next up, we have another DJ set, another little break from DJ Lancha. I want to remind everyone, we're going to throw up the QR code again. Please go ahead and fill out that assessment, and you will be thrown into the raffle one of five Target gift cards at the end of this program. Thank you. Hey, we're back. Thank you so much, DJ Lansha. You are keeping us pumping. Okay, so now we will dive into sculpting. It's so funny because after this workshop, I have actually introduced a couple friends into sculpting, teaching them techniques that I learned from this next artist. Lev is a mental health advocate and all-around artist, someone that pushes for the community and brings awareness to his community. His continued support for the arts and community is evident in the artwork he produces. Lev, are you there with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi,
guys.
thank you so much for joining us. Yeah. Can you share your experience teaching this workshop or being part of the Story Collective?
It was honestly a really humbling experience, to be honest. It felt amazing just to kind of teach whatever skills I've taught myself or have acquired throughout the years to somebody else, because I feel like that's the best way to live forever, you know? I could be gone tomorrow, but somebody I've taught something to will remember that and remember me by it. And what else is better than that? And to teach that to a group of people who I can relate with on any level, whether it be cultural or anything else, is that much better, because my art has helped me cope with a lot of stuff. And to teach somebody else that might be going through the similar situation or similar circumstances, that'll give them a tool to kind of, you know, be a little bit better and live a better life. So very, very thankful I got the opportunity to do that.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about mental health and how perhaps it, you know, art can play a part in it?
Yeah, art can play a huge part in your mental state, whether you're feeling down or whether you're feeling super uplifted, just by going and creating something. And I mean, I know I taught the sculpture class, but I dabble in all art, and every single way that you can express yourself artistically is an amazing way. So if you want to sculpt with clay, sculpt with clay. If you want to sculpt with cardboard, do that. If you want to paint, if you want to draw, if you want to write poetry, take pictures, be taken pictures of, like whatever the case may be, by just allowing yourself to be vulnerable enough and just to be kind of, in a way, absent physically, to to be absent mentally, I should say, and just kind of put whatever thoughts in your head just on paper or on your canvas, is super liberating. And it's an amazing experience that you can share with the world, and it lives forever. It really does live forever, because the impact that it has on people, that has the opportunity to live forever. And art itself is physical. And you know, I was telling one of the students that was in my class, art is never finished, it's just abandoned. So it's something that you can work on now, and you know, you'll think it's done, and then 5-10 years later you get some sporadic inspiration, and then you just alter your whole piece, and now it's a new piece of art. So it's always changing, it's always evolving, just like us, and it's amazing.
Yeah, you know, it's so funny you said that, because I think that when I also took part in your workshop, and what I had in mind going into, like, when in the morning, I thought I was going to do something, but that something was not happening. Like, it was just not how I envisioned.
I remember.
And it turned into something very, very, very different. And I was just so happy with it.
Exactly.
And like you said, it is an ongoing experience, and what you, like, say, like a little error might turn into something beautiful, and that's
exactly
experience. Yeah. So thank you. So why is it important to host these spaces for the LGBTQ community?
Well, I think it's important to hold these things for every community, but the LGBT community in particular, I feel like we have a lot of trauma that it's really hard to just express without using something else other than, you know, just the emotions on our face, and whether that be the words that come out of our mouth or whatever our hands are able to make, or even just dance and music and whatever else you can do. But it's important for the LGBT community to get involved in the arts, because if you were to allow all that negative energy that is associated with our group of people, not as much now, but you know, years ago it was definitely a lot worse. But if you use art and you use situations like this to get acquainted with art and other forms of art, it's going to help you just to kind of let that trauma go, and you don't pass that trauma on to your friends, you don't pass that trauma on to your future kids if you have any, you don't pass that trauma, even you don't hold on to that trauma, and you live a more liberated, more happy life, just having to let things go. And I feel like art and programs like this, which kind of in a way forces people to take classes like this, because like, let's just say out of the 10 kids that were there, the 10 people that were there, maybe 2 or 3 of them would never, not one time, even hold a sculpting tool in their hand if it wasn't for you guys. So it's very, very important for the LGBT community to get involved in programs like this, because it forces them to try things that they normally wouldn't have. And it forces them to do it. And by doing that, it sometimes makes them fall in love with it. And then now they have a new passion that they can pursue, which is amazing.
Yeah, and it's so funny that I just thought about something about how you mentioned art being ongoing. It's never really finished. And me asking you that LGBTQ question, and made me think about the pride flag. How, I mean, of course, the flag itself, it's an artwork, but it has been evolved throughout time, right? So now we have added more colors to it, black and brown to represent suppressed minorities, as well as like the trans community, right? To make it a stamp on there to make us aware that the trans community was are the pioneers of queer civil rights movements.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lev, once again for being part of this of the Story Collective. Where can we see some more of your art? Can we follow you on social media?
Yeah. I have a page, OMG LEV. That's my Instagram page. I post a lot on my story usually. I'm gonna start posting a lot more on my actual profile. So it's OMG space LEV. The same thing for TikTok. I design tattoos, so I do a lot of like sketches and stuff like that, and I put that on TikTok as well. I'm working on a website to put my sculptures, which you can see some stuff up there. I'm working on that to make it a little bit easier for people to see and things like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. I haven't really been as focused on it with all this, war and protests and stuff going on, but I'll get back to it as soon as life goes back to normal.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Of course, thank you.
So next up, we do have a short clip of how fun, interactive, and messy I workshop got during the sculpture session. Enjoy.
Amazing. Good job, guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lev. And yeah, it was an amazing workshop. Like I said, I even took some of those techniques and showed them to my friends, and I'm continuously doing some of this art as well. Okay, so up next, we do have a pre-recorded message by one of your participants, Laura Lynn. Could not make it tonight, but she did send in a wonderful video of her detailing her experience. Laura Lynn is also a community advocate working with the downtown Los Angeles Women's Center. So we can go ahead and play that video.
My name is Laura Lynn. I identify as bisexual and a demi-woman. My pronouns are she and they. I'm gonna show some queer pride here in this pandemic. So I want to thank Las Memorias and, the Department of Mental Health, the facilitators, and the artists for allowing us to have this space for, creating this virtual art exhibit. And because of them, in terms of mental health wellness, I learned a new medium for positive mental health, and it was clay sculpting. So I created, this piece. It's called mud red lotus, basically the mud, the dirt, the trauma, the pain, and transforming it into the lotus, right? The golden baby inside that I have here symbolizes, you know, rebirth, transformation. And that's how I see, you know, in terms of my diagnosis. I have post-traumatic stress disorder because of it, you know, the domestic violence experience it, and just being positive about everything, using this to transform the pain into something beautiful. Where I felt like I wanted something more than talking, where I could talk, you know, but I wanted something to create something tangible, something to be seen, where it was showcased instead of, you know, my pain and my trauma being trapped or closeted, where it was seen, it was showcased, it was made into something beautiful, right? So I do want to thank Las Memorias for creating this and, you know, facilitating the workshops with gathering all these artists. So thank you for that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Laura Lynn, for that video and for your art. It's very beautiful and letting us into your life, telling us about your mental health experience and what brought you to create these art pieces. Okay. So next up, we're going to venture into photography, which is actually our last workshop. So it was actually led by Alyssa Garcia, who facilitated this workshop. But unfortunately could not make it tonight. Alyssa Garcia is the Education and Program Manager at Las Fotos Project and will be facilitating the basics on photography workshops for the Story Collective. A little bit about where Alyssa comes from, her organization. Las Fotos Project is a community-based nonprofit organization that inspires teenage girls through photography, mentorship, and self-expression, offering a year-round program. They provide girls with access to professional cameras, quality, instructive, and workshops that encourage them to explore their identity, learn about new cultures, build leadership and advocacy skills, and strengthen their social and emotional well-being. Every year, they work with over 45 volunteer mentors to provide opportunities for 125 girls from communities across Los Angeles. Yeah. So, Alyssa was not able to be here tonight due to an emergency. However, I'll give you a little insight about my own experience with the photography, about photography and mental health and what it has done. So something that Frankie said, I'll mention it again. She did mention how sometimes when you do the typewriting, it's very raw, right? So that's kind of what we did with the photography. It was also very raw, teaching us about our raw emotions and how to capture them instead of it just being an Instagram filter, right? So it was very beautiful, very passionate. We got to work with each other, photographing each other and so on. And we'll actually see this on the next clip, okay? Awesome, thank you so much. So next up, we do have our final testimony from Chris. Chris is from Eastern San Gabriel Valley, currently a freelance writer and producer and host, and is anticipating work in media communication and journalism. Chris, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Awesome. So tell me about your experience at the Story Collective mental health workshop or at one of the art workshops.
Well, yeah, the photo one was really cool, and I had to smile when I saw a picture come up there of me and my cat, because my cat's so mischievous, and he's right here acting like a kid trying to distract me from what I'm trying to do right here. But it was a lot of fun to see everybody get so creative, and some people were kind of nervous about photos and can I pull this off? And I think what was really cool is that we had a challenge where we were out there to try to capture a bunch of different styles of photography. So it kind of made everybody think differently about how to take a photo. And I was there with a couple of friends, and they were actually really impressive with how they were coming across and taking their photos. I liked how everybody later on after the workshop was inspired to continue into exploring photography. And I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, you're right. That's something cool about this workshop was that it did not finish after the workshop was done. Las Fotos was very kind enough to lend us the cameras and for an extended period of time or a couple of weeks, so you can venture out and explore that talents even further. So yeah, so thank you so much, Las Fotos and Alyssa. So another question is, after this session, how did you continue to work or to use this art to express your mental health?
Well, I like to go out there in the world and just take photos and share them on my social media. Sometimes I'll highlight some of the best ones on my feed, but a lot of times I'll just put them in my stream with a few thoughts in my story for people to just kind of think about their day differently. So I kind of like the effect that I can have on somebody's day just by taking a photo and taking a moment to maybe capture like a sunset or a location that I've been to and just share it with everybody. I try to do that when I do report like news and things on my feed, and I try to incorporate some photos into that as well, and just try to tell a story through photos. I think that's something I like to do. And now I've continued to do that during the pandemic, and it's turning into a creative outlet for me is producing a podcast, which I'm having a lot of fun with. And we're actually producing it through Zoom because it's the only way we can do it right now. But it's actually allowed me to be a little bit more open again because I am kind of a shy person. So when to think about me hosting a podcast or producing it is like, for an introvert, that's really hard. But when you have that creative outlet that really that you enjoy doing it, like lets you be who you are. And it's just unlike any other feeling in the world. So to start out with nothing and then have something at the end that might be inspiring or informational, I think it's just something that I really enjoy. And it's a feeling that I can't get anywhere else other than art, even if it's non-tangible art like podcasting.
So yeah, congrats on your podcast, and your setup looks amazing, actually.
Thank you.
So do you think our art as a coping mechanism is also useful to individuals that are not art savvy?
Absolutely. I know a lot of friends who have used art to cope with past stress, traumas, depression, and they've turned it around into something that can be inspirational to others. I know people who've actually turned an art hobby into a craft and then turn it into like a small business for themselves where they can have self-expression and have that feeling of creating something and being proud of it. And I think you don't have to worry about doing it the wrong way. There's no wrong way to do art. And some people are kind of afraid to make a mark on that canvas. They might feel like, well, I might be doing it wrong, but just do it. Just get out there, express yourself. There's no wrong way to do it. So I just think that everybody can find art as a good coping mechanism. I know some people who've also done like performance art, and I think that's also something that's really stress relieving and something that people can be proud of. So absolutely, anybody can do this.
Awesome. Thank you so much one more time for being again with us, Chris. I appreciate you being a participant and at the Story Collective and again here at this virtual gallery. Yeah, thank you so much. So next up, I would like, once again, we're gonna throw up the QR code since we are almost at the end of our program. If I could get it up on the screen, please. Okay, so here we go for all those folks that filled out the assessment. Thank you so much. And now, without further ado, let's go ahead and do the raffle for the 5 Target gift cards. First winner is congratulations, Bianca Gallegos. Thank you so much. Next up, we're gonna do 4 more. Congratulations and thank you so much for joining us tonight. Dorland, thank you so much for joining us tonight and for being part of the Story Collective. Caroline Boyer, thank you so much for joining us tonight. The last minute is Cynthia Hogan. Congratulations and thank you so much for joining us. All 5 of you can enjoy your shopping spree at Target. Yeah, so thank you everybody so much for joining us tonight at the Story Collective. My name is Gustavo Velez. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I am a mental health community organizer at the Walas Project. I oversee Beyond Safe Spaces, which is a LGBTQI2S transitional age youth mental health program. You can find more of our information at thewalasmemorias.org. We are also taking name submissions for our AIDS monument at thewalasmemorias.org/submit. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and you can go ahead and enjoy the rest of this DJ set by DJ Lansha. Peace to you all.